I think the pros of having a co-founder are you have complementarity of skills, right? You cannot be everything, right? I may be good at A, but I will not be good at A, B, and C, all of them. So I think a co-founder provides that. Besides, you also have a sounding board. You see, sometimes when you're an entrepreneur, the journey could be very lonely, you know. So you need to have somebody who shares your concerns, who dips with you, who rises with you, you know. So I think that's important. I think the fallout of it, or the con of it, would be that you know, as a sole founder, you're in complete control, right? So you don't have to kind of consult too many people. I'm not saying that you become autocratic, but decision making is quicker, simpler, you know, those kind of things. Whereas with the co-founders, I haven't had that experience, but I've seen sometimes my friends, their priorities vary, and you know, so there could be issues around that. But I think a carefully chosen co-founder would any day be a good way to go about it.
So, I think success of venture or any organization largely depends on the leadership talent of that organization, especially with you not having the co-founders with you. I'm sure you would have had to build enormous leadership talent in the organization. How did you go about building that? What has been the recipe of the success recipe there? I think?
So I don't know how to answer that question honestly, but let me tell you a story, and I often repeat this story with all our new recruits. So maybe that kind of reflects. If it doesn't answer your question, ask me and I'll try and answer it again. But you know, when I just came out of college, I was very lucky to get into the company of a very old gentleman called Mr. Ian Huxer, who was the chairman of ITC. He had retired at that time. And we started a club together called the Young Professionals. Right? So we would collect professionals and we would call all these guys to come and tutor us. So in one of these sessions, he told us a story. And the story goes like this, that the famous king Vikramaditya, right? He was only 14 years old when his father died, and he had to assume the mantle of running the kingdom. So he was very confused, very stressed out, and he went to the Prime Minister Kautilya, right, saying, "Sir, please help me. You know, I don't know what to do because such a big kingdom, I have no clue. Please help me. Tell me what to do." So Kautilya told him, "You know, don't worry. It's no rocket science. I'll help you. Do as I tell you." He said, "Okay." So he said, Kautilya told him, "Be like a dog." He said, "What? You want me to be like a dog?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Why?" He said, "Because a dog is the most faithful animal. So if you are faithful to your people, you will win their hearts and mind. And once you win their hearts and mind, they will do anything for you." So he was impressed. He said, "Okay, I'll be like a dog. You know, what else?" So Kautilya's second advice to him was, "Be like a tiger." Right? He said, "Okay, that's interesting, but why like a tiger?" And he said, "A tiger is the most courageous animal. He never retracts in the face of adversity. He takes challenges head on. You know, he has the grit. So when you're ruling, rule with courage, rule with grit. You know, don't kind of get back." Right? So he says, "Okay, I'll be like a tiger. What else?" His third advice was, "Be like a donkey." He said, "Donkey?" Yeah. "Okay, why?" And he said, "Because a donkey is the most hard-working animal, and he never complains. Work hard, and people will see that, and they will follow you." Right? He said, "Okay, I'll be like a dog, I'll be like a tiger, I'll be like a donkey. What else?" He said, "Okay, now you need to be like a seagull." He said, "Why a seagull?" He said, "Because a seagull soars high in the sky and has a broad perspective, has a broad vision, looks into the future, A seagull is macro, not micro, right? So you need to have a broad vision. Think big, don't think small, right? Look far, and then orient yourself accordingly. I said, okay, I will be like a seagull. What else? So he then said, be like a vulture. He said, why like a vulture? And his explanation was that a vulture is the most focused bird, because when you see it spiraling in the sky, it's actually looking for its target. And once it has found the target, it doesn't take its eyes off it until it goes and catches it and brings it up, right? So you need to be focused. If you take a task, don't rest till you've done it, right? So with these 5 things, being a dog, a tiger, a donkey, a seagull, and a vulture, Vikramaditya kind of got onto ruling, and we all know he was successful. So I think if these are the qualities you build up, I think life becomes easier. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Very interesting perspective. I think just wanted to go a bit more in this question as to talent is really difficult to attract, and especially at the point when you're in the startup mode. And that talent is not easily available, in the sense it's, you don't have so many talented resources or leaders today. B, even if you meet them, being able to identify them in an interview and recruit them into the organization is a challenge. And third is to be able to motivate and keep them going and focused on the goals of the organization. So, what has been your experience in building your leadership team?
Sure. Now that's a difficult question. In media, getting talent is tough, right? Also very expensive. Especially because, you see, the TV kind of grew in India in the 90s and early 2000s. Before that, there was no serious media. And a lot of these people grew very fast with the TV industry, right? So when we started, we thought that our best catch would be from these TV companies, these people who had a very successful run. So we went out and hired some really top guns, very expensive, right? We thought they had a great name in the industry. But when they came in, it was a disaster, right? And we started looking at ourselves and introspecting, why is that? Is it something wrong in us? Is it something wrong in them, right? And then we figured out there was a mismatch. See, in the TV industry, they would talk about a minimum order of, let's say, 1 crore of rupees, or 2 crores, or 3 crores. And at that time, the TV industry was not as big. So, but since we got people from these big companies, for them, getting business was purely on relationship basis, or because the TRP was high. Right? So when they came to us, we found that they were very uncomfortable, because here you had to go for, rather than a 1 crore or 2 crores order, you had to go for a 1 lakh order, and they were not used to it, right? So it really misfired. Because we couldn't even motivate them, on what basis we gave ESOPs, we gave them the freedom to work, we gave them whatever else was there, but it didn't work. Then we started hiring people, not from the industry, from outside actually. We even hired people from the BPO industry, this and that. And we gave them the freedom to operate. And honestly, I acknowledge this to my team. I am not a great recruiter. I don't know, because when I'm interviewing, somebody starts praising live media, I think he's the right, I always think he's the best guy at hiring. So it's, I don't know how to hire, I'll be honest. Yeah. But what we did was, as long as people kind of, meet our basic criteria, we'll get them in, give them the freedom to operate. And I genuinely believe it's like a motor engine, a vehicle. You can push the car and take it to a point, but it'll never take you to your destination. The internal engine has to work, right? So my job is to make sure that